Hi there, welcome to day 8 of the Train the Brave Challenge. It's amazing how fast time flies when you're being brave, hey? So today I want to talk to you about stories. Not fairy tale stories, though maybe you have a few fairy tale stories that need to be challenged. I'm talking about the stories that you tell yourself all the time about who you are, about how the world works, about how other people are, about what you're good at, what you're not good at, what you can do, what you can't do, what's right, what's wrong. You know, we all have stories. We all live in our stories. And our stories are a melting pot of assumptions and beliefs and biases and prejudices. And they include the labels that we have on ourselves and that we have on other people. They drive prejudice and racism. And our stories can cause all sorts of conflict in our lives personally, but also on our planet. Because our stories really shape our reality. They create the belief system we have and the paradigms that we live in. But too often, the stories that we have go unchallenged. We buy into things. Maybe our parents told us, maybe a part of our culture, their norms, it's just what everybody believes. It's the consensus belief. The world is flat. A human being can't fly. You can't get, as the Wright brothers were told, a heavier than air machine cannot get off the ground. But of course, over time, we've learnt that some of these things aren't true. A man can run a mile in under 4 minutes, and we can get people in the air, and women are as smart as men, and all sorts of things that have been beliefs that we've bought into collectively that have been challenged and ultimately disproven. But when it comes to your personal life, with where you are right now, where do you hold stories about yourself that are limiting you? Because the stories that you have create emotions, whether it's ambition and aspiration, or it's resignation, or it's resentment, or it's anger, or it's sadness, or it's apathy. So your stories generate emotions, and those emotions are predispositions to action. So if you believe you can't do something, then you won't be very ambitious. You won't try. You'll be resigned, you'll be apathetic, you won't try, and then of course you won't achieve it. It's that self-fulfilling prophecy. So the challenge I have for you is to really step back and think about any area of your life that isn't as you'd really love it to be. Maybe it's your weight and fitness. Maybe it's your finances. Maybe it's your relationships at work with people. Maybe it's how well you can collaborate in a team. Maybe it's the state of your marriage or partnership with someone. Maybe it's your social life. Who knows? Any area of your life that isn't as you'd like it to be, where you're not feeling really contented and satisfied and powerful around that area of your life. Therein lies a story that you hold that needs to be challenged, and it needs to be rewritten, because that story has limited the actions you've taken and the results you've produced. Why is it that someone who doesn't seem to be any smarter than everybody else can go and create and achieve extraordinary things, and yet someone else who has got the same IQ can't? It's because of the stories that they have. Why is it that some people get stuck in these repetitive cycles, destructive cycles, self-destructive cycles? It's not because of just the actions they're taking. It's because of the stories that are driving them. And maybe those stories have been created early in life and maybe later on. But your stories impact not just who you are and what you achieve, but who you'll become and whether or not you're able to achieve that vision 10 years from now. It's those stories that are going to sabotage you, those internal things in your head, far more than any external obstacle. So I want you to really identify right now an area of your life that you're going, you know what, I couldn't give this more than a 6 or 7 out of 10. What's getting in the way of you taking the actions to make it a 9, 10 out of 10? What is it? What's getting in the way of that? Maybe it's you've got some excuses, reasons, you've got all sorts of reasons, good reasons, but where are there assumptions there that need to be challenged? Where are you telling yourself something that simply isn't true, but you've bought into it for so long you believe it's the truth? You know, our stories are so powerful in shaping our lives. They aren't our reality, but they shape our reality. I know for me, growing up, I always saw myself as a non-runner, and I shared this story in Brave, and how over the years, by getting in exercise groups and being with people who sometimes were far older than me, I realized, you know what, I've just got this big story that I can't run, that my legs aren't made for running. And in writing Brave, I actually ended up running a half marathon, which for me was such a sense of accomplishment, but just very liberating. And it opened up, where else have I got stories about what I can and can't do? You can achieve extraordinary things, but the number one thing that will take is believing that you can, and getting yourself in a place where you know that whatever it is you truly want to do, you can do it. It's the stories you have about yourself that are keeping you from even setting out. So write down what it is, an area where you're not happy. Give it a score out of 10. Write down what you would need to do in order to make it a 10 out of 10. Then write down any stories. What are the beliefs that have held you back from taking action up until now? And what if you completely threw those beliefs out? Turn them on their head. Everything you said you can't do, you can. Everything you said wasn't possible is possible. Then what possibilities would open up? Your stories expand possibilities, or they shrink them down. So it can sometimes be hard to really acknowledge that I've been living with a story for a long time that's actually created suffering that's limited me. But when you've got the guts, the courage to truly look reality in the face, to interrogate reality, as I wrote about in chapter 2, extraordinary things are possible. So challenge your stories, interrogate your reality, and be willing to rewrite stories in ways that shift the emotions you feel, the actions you take, and the future that you will create for yourself. I'll see you tomorrow.